Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great Tuesday. So today was a pretty wild ride again in the markets. Well, the markets were up for the most part. Bitcoin was up as well quite nicely, but then it kind of fell back down to reality a little bit. We'll take a look at what's going on there. So we're going to take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin. We're also going to take a look at what's going on with the CPI data. So that came out today, which was good. We're going to take a look at that. That obviously is a good sign for us with it coming in at 6%. We're also going to take a look at Cipher mining. They provided their full year 2022 business financials. So we'll look at all those. We'll go a deep dive in this. We'll take a look at everything that we do know on them. Also provide you guys with my spreadsheet that I have on them. So we'll go through all that and we'll call it a day. So it should be pretty easy. And as always, this is not financial advice for entertainment only. Do your own research. And I'm invested in following coins and companies for full disclosure. So let's get into the market, see how that happened, and we'll get into everything else. Okay. So S&P was up today 1.65% to 3,919. Dow Jones was down up today 1.06% to 32,155. NASDAQ was also up today 2.32% to 12,199. So it was a good day in the markets. A lot of the banks also rebounded today, which was good to see, especially the regional banks. Bitcoin was up nicely today. I mean, you can see here on the daily chart, we had a big wick here today. We went up all the way to 26,553, but that didn't last very long. We climbed to it, and then ever since then, we've been kind of falling back down here. The red line here is our 200 weekly moving average. I was rooting for this in the morning when I saw it cross over it. I was like, great, we're finally going to be able to close above the 200 weekly moving average. But then as the day kept going, we kept sliding down and down and down, and we finished out the day today below it now. So we just closed on the day today, and we closed at, let me see here. We closed at 24,766. We were up only 2.26% on the day. We were up much higher than that. We were around 8-9% up at the peak here today. But a green is a green, so we'll take it any way we can get it. But I think it's also good that we have a little bit of a pullback, a little bit of a relief in the pressure, I guess you could say, in Bitcoin. We've been going straight up here for the past 4 days now. We're up, if we look at from the bottom here that we reached on Friday, and you go all the way to the top here, we basically went up 35% in, what is that, 4 days, 5 days time worth. So we needed a little bit of a pullback, a little bit of a relief rally. So right now we were battling with the 200 weekly moving average. We'll see if we can still muster the strength to get up there. But right now we are kind of battling with the, what is this here? This is the weekly 200 weekly moving average here. So we're going to battle with that a little bit, I think. RSI is coming down as well on the 4-hour chart, so that's good there. You can see here that we are at 66. Last time we were back here, price was much lower, so we are much higher in price. I think that's a good sign there also. I think by the time we're all said and done, we might end up above the 200 weekly moving average in the next couple of days to a week or so. And then after that, we're going to probably test out our next support or resistance line, which is going to be the 28,600. That's going to be our next really test here to get through. On the 1-hour chart, we can see here that RSI has fallen as well to 15. Last time we were right around here. Price was much, much lower at that point. So that's also a good sign here. We had a reversal happen over the last couple of days, which is good to see as well. So we'll just keep an eye on it. Right now, I think we're just having a little pullback. People are taking some profits. I mean, we're up 35% at the peak. It's understandable that profits are going to be taken, so I'm okay with that. Ethereum was also up nicely today as well. It came down here in price as well. Towards the end of the day, it was up 1.37% and it closed at 1,704. It was up much higher to a high of 1,787. So it's not too far off from where it was. So that's a good sign there as well. Miners, on the other hand, were a little bit mixed here. We had some that were down, some that were up. And we'll take a look at those guys right now. ANY was actually up today, actually down today, 0.96% on the day, which wasn't too bad, but all the other miners were up, and they finished out at 31 cents. Argo was up nicely, 9.76% to $1.63. Bit Digital was up 1.71% to $1.19, and all these miners were up much higher at the peak, but they since came down. Bitfarms was up 5.33% to 86 cents. Cipher actually was down quite a bit here. They had a pretty good rally here. They went up to $2.60 roughly, then came down almost $1 to $1.68. They also reported their financials for 2022. We'll take a look at those. I think that might be the reason why it's down today. 7.69% to $1.68. CleanSpark was up 6.58% to $2.43. Cores was up 10.03% to almost 35 cents. DigiHost was up 13.14% to $1.55. DMG was up 4.61% to 21 cents. Greenidge was up 0.69% to 45 cents. Hive was up 4.8% to $2.84. HUT was up nicely today, 12% to $1.68. Iris Energy was up 1.52% to $2.68. Marathon was up 6.42% to $7.13. Mawson was up 5.65% to $2.62. Riot was up 10.24% to $6.89. Soluna was down a bunch here today. They were down 16.92% to 27 cents. TeraWolf was also down today 4.48% to 60 cents. So like I said, it was a pretty mixed day on the miners. We did have a much nicer day in the morning. Then the afternoon kind of everybody was taking profits, I'm guessing, is what happened because I can't think of anything else. Now, when we look at the network hash rate here on Bitcoin, let's see what's going on here. This is the 7-day average. We are still up a little bit here to 315 million terahashes. And on the 1-day average, we're still at 339. So that hasn't changed really over into the new day yet. It's pretty much the same, I think, as it was yesterday. Okay, so that's it. So let's take a look at the CPI data that we do have on for February, which came in pretty much with what analysts were kind of expecting, which is good. So the Consumer Price Index, CPI, revealed that headline inflation rose 0.4% over last month and 6% over the prior year in February. So we have been coming down here in the past basically 8 months, ever since we peaked in the summer, where we were like at 9-point-something% inflation. It has been coming down every single month, which is good. And we'll see how this is going to affect the Fed's decision to raise interest rates another 25 basis points or 50 basis points. I wouldn't be surprised if they even don't raise them at all, based on what's going on with the banks and everything else, but we'll see. Okay, so where were we? Prior year in February, a slowdown from January's 0.5% month-over-month increase and 6.4% annual gain. Both measures were in line with economists' expectations, according to data from Bloomberg, so that was good there. The 6% jump in inflation marks the slowest annual increase in consumer price increase since September 2021. So that's almost a year and a half now. So that's good there. And you can see here that we pretty much peaked here in, when was this that we peaked? If I can get to it. In June, we peaked, it's like 9.1%. And ever since then, we've been coming down here quite nicely. That's why I'm thinking maybe the Fed's going to take a look at this and go, why don't we just do a little pause, see where things end up at? Inflation has been coming down month over month. We got the issues with the banks. Everything else, maybe they will do a little pause. If anything, I'm thinking 25 basis points is what they're going to go with. Originally, prior, we were looking at possibly 50 basis points. So that is a good sign for us there. Core inflation, which strips out the more volatile costs of food and energy, rose 0.5% over the prior month in February and 5.5% over last year, marking the smallest 12-month increase since December of 2021. So that's also good there. And then the U.S. stocks surged following the release of the data. The Treasury yields moved higher. Tuesday's inflation data also comes against the backdrop of the stunning collapse of Silicon Valley Bank last week, which had paired expectations for the Fed's next move, with markets now pricing in a 25 basis point or 0.25% rate hike later this month. We'll see if that's still going to play out. And you got the core inflation data here. And down here, financial stability dilemma, right? He has a pretty big dilemma now. Do you raise interest rates more? Risk of having other banks possibly go under? Or do you just hold off a little bit, see where things go? Inflation has been coming down for 8 straight months. Why not just hold off? That's kind of my thoughts on it. That's kind of what I would do. You know, we got all the stuff going on. Interest rates are not interest rate. Inflation's coming down. You have this problem with the banks. Why not hold off? Continuing on here, last week, investors placed a better than 50% chance of the Fed raising rates by 50 basis points this month, following 2 days of testimony from Fed Chair Jerome Powell that emphasized interest rates were likely to go higher than previously forecast. And we've heard it before where they were saying that they're going to raise interest rates until something breaks. I think last week something broke with the banks. This could be a way for them to pause a little bit, but we'll see. Developments from the banking sector over the last week have changed this outlook, with some Wall Street analysts surmising the recent failure of Silicon Valley Bank and the risk of stoking financial instability will alter the Federal Reserve's plans. I kind of agree with that also. He has to take in a lot of things into account. This is definitely one of those things. The February Consumer Price Index doesn't alter our call for a 25 basis point rate hike at the next FOMC meeting, wrote Ryan Sweet, chief U.S. economist at Oxford Economics, in the note on Tuesday. Though stress has spiked in the banking system, the Fed is still highly focused on taming inflation. We believe the Fed will continue to raise interest rates to cool the economy and take the edge off inflation. We'll see where they actually end up going here. There's some that are for us, some that are against it. There's also a lot of people on Twitter and other places that are definitely for putting a pause on interest rate hikes going forward, at least for a time being, for a month or two, see where things end up for March, April, and then if inflation starts rearing its ugly head again, well, then you got to tamp it down a little bit and raise interest rates at that point. Okay, so that's it. I think the inflation is getting better month over month, which is good, and this is actually good for us. It's good for risk-on assets as we go forward. Okay, next is going to be Cipher Mining. They provide their fourth quarter and full year 2022 business update. So this is for the full year financials that they provided, and here's some information that we do have from them. Or just two quotes from the CEO and CFO. So we are pleased to announce financial results that demonstrate our resilient position as a low-cost producer of Bitcoin while we continue our steady march forward to completion of our initial data centers, said Tyler Page, CEO of Cipher. As always, our focus is on prudent growth through the cycle, which we can accomplish given the strength of our balance sheet and the significant ramp up at our Odessa facility. As we complete our initial build out at Odessa, we will increase our focus on the tremendous organic growth opportunities we have across our sites as well as continue to refine our pipeline of potential new projects and new opportunities to drive shareholder value. Ed Farrell, CFO of Cipher Mining, said we commenced producing revenues in the fourth quarter of 2022 with the energization of our Odessa data center. With the ramp up of Odessa in 2023, we look forward to providing the market with greater detail on our operations, which we believe will eliminate our best-in-class unit economics. So we'll see what all that entails going forward, but it is nice to see finally some revenue on their sheets. The other sites that they have, which was Alborz, Bear, and Chief, they have a 49% stake in those. Those are being reported differently as assets, I guess, on any Bitcoin that they mine there. So that's kind of throwing my numbers off a little bit here, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So when we look at their numbers here, some things I'm going to gripe about here really quick, and then we'll get into the numbers as well. But I'm using all the data that is in their release statement. So I'm taking all the numbers that they provided here, putting them into my spreadsheets, and then that way we can compare quarter to quarter how things are going. Makes it a lot easier. But some gripes that I do have here. So going over their financial release information, under general administrative, I didn't get too far into the weeds on all of this. I just kind of perused it really quickly. A couple of things that stood out to me was they spent $1.9 million for accounting and audit services. Okay, that seems a little high to me. I don't know which service you're using, but that definitely seems a little bit high for me. It might be the norm, but me, the average Joe, looking at this is thinking that's a lot of cash. Other thing is $1.8 million for legal expenses, also kind of high for me. I could be wrong on this. Next is $1.5 million for rent expenses primarily related to our headquarters. I mean, they're paying almost like $135,000 a month for rent for a headquarters. If the headquarters is just an office space, that seems like a lot of waste to me. If they're in New York City or something like that, why couldn't they find a facility that's just out of the region or something, wherever they're located at, out of a big town, and go into a little bit smaller town that's half an hour away from the main city, but still within easy reach, and you're not paying $1.5 million a year for a headquarters. It just seems outrageous to me. If they were making 10, 20 million a year profit, okay, fine, you could possibly spend that. But if you're just starting out, you should be a little bit more cautious of what you're spending the money on, where it could be used better for more miners, more other things like that. So that's kind of my little gripe here. Also, $1.5 million for office supplies and software. That seems also really high for me. I mean, even if you get 25 desks and computers, you're looking to spend maybe $50,000 for that. I don't know where the other, let's just say 1.4 million went to. That seems awfully, awfully high here to me. Unless you're getting paintings that you're spending $200,000 for paintings or something like that. Software, I could see. Okay, software, even if you buy something outright or something like that, you're looking at a couple $100,000 depending on what you're getting. And if it's something custom made, you probably would have been better off hiring a computer programmer for $250,000 a year than spending $1 million for software or something like that. Okay, so that's just a gripe on there. And then $700,000 for travel expenses. That seems also a little high to me. Let me know what you guys think, but this is just kind of my little gripe here on the way I'm looking at it. I'm also looking at it as an average Joe. I've never been a CEO of a large company. This might be the norm here, but to me, it's definitely not the norm. Especially, like I said, the $1.5 million for rent and the $1.5 million for office and software. I mean, office supplies. Are you using golden pens? What's going on there? Okay. Would have liked to have seen a little bit more detail on how that was spent. Okay, so that's my little gripe there. Let's get into the numbers that we do have for them, and then we'll also take a look at their presentation update. Why don't we do that now? We'll do that now and we'll get into the numbers. So this is a presentation that they provided as well for us here today. Disclaimers, don't really care about those. Key indicators as of February 28th, 2023. Hash rate current, so they are up to 5.2 exahash now. They are going to be possibly at 8.2. This is a 2023 potential. We'll see where they get. Machines, 48,000 operating plus, and then 11,000 plus to be energized, so that's good there. Daily production is about 15.59 BTC. That's roughly 465 BTC held, so that's their hodl right now. And then February production we know is 398 Bitcoins, which was a good month for them. Key updates here, data center updates. Alvarez is complete. Let's see here, all-in electrical cost was about, I'm guessing, I doubt it's going to be 5,000. I'm guessing these are going to be in maybe, well, per Bitcoin, okay. So 5,000, so that's actually really good. 6,000 for Bear and Chief also, so that's really good there. Odessa, they're still developing and building that out. And you can see their growth here at 2.8 exahash in December, 4.3 in January. February, they were at 5.2 roughly. So they are nicely growing here. And then their mining business model is power source, electricity cost. That's the main thing for them, mining equipment. And then Bitcoin network, that's how they're making their money. Market updates, we cover market updates all the time. We're not going to really get into that. Operational highlights. So Alvarez is 1.3 exahash right now. And they, let's see, they mined year to date, they mined 186 Bitcoin right now, 3.98 Bitcoins daily. And they have, on this one, they own 49% of it. So they don't report this as a revenue, but it shows up on their, possibly on their assets on that one. Not sure how that's going to work out for that one. Then you got also Bear and Chief is also at 0.65 exahash. Combined, when you take the 49% for these 2 or 3 facilities, they have approximately 960 petahash. That's theirs, I'm guessing. This is the way I'm calculating it. So joint venture with Wind HQ, of which Cipher owns 0.32 exahash. And I think they reported that here, yeah, 6.64 exahash. So they own half of it. But it's still, I'm still a little hazy on how they're reporting it when they do report operations monthly. I wish they would break it down for us by facility and then how much they actually get for it compared to what they total mined for the facilities. That'd be my ideal way of seeing it. And then Odessa is at 4.2 exahash right now, 770 BTC mined to date, which is good. And then their daily average is at 12.9 right now. Let's see, hash rate at full deployment would be 6.2 exahash, so that would be good there as well. So they're still growing up for that one. Large growth opportunity, minimal commitment. Let's see if there's anything else that I wanted to go over. Managing through the cycle. I think that's it, pretty much. Financial update. We'll get into the financial update right now. So here's the numbers that I do have for them. Their stock price is about $1.68 right now. Market cap is about 415 million right now. Shares outstanding 247 is based on market cap divided by stock price. You're getting share price on that one. We can see that they have been growing nicely as far as their BTC production is concerned. Their exahash per BTC has been declining, but so has everybody else's, so that's okay there. And let's take a look at how I'm calculating now the numbers for them. So I'm using the numbers here for Alvarez, Chief, and Bear in this pink number here. And then I'm taking the numbers here and multiplying it times 0.49 of what the report is possibly getting for that. I'm guessing this is the way it's going to work out, but this is the only way I could get it to work out for the numbers here. So then I'm breaking it down here for what Odessa could possibly have made each month, and Alvarez, Bear, and Chief along with that, and then the total. But as they're reporting only the revenue on Odessa, this is the only way I could make it to make sense. And then I don't know how it's going to affect also with their assets being reported for the other ones, Alvarez, Bear, and Chief. That's going to look a little funky on the books there, but that's how they have to do it for the accounting principles. And that's going to show up here. So when you, looks like they're providing the total number of mined Bitcoin. So 225 Bitcoins were mined in December. They came out to be about 3.8 million in revenue potentially. And that's what we have here, about 3.8 something. That's the total for the combination of the two. I'm guessing that Alvarez is not going to be included in the revenue. So we're only going to include Odessa going forward here, which is going to be provided here. Okay, so kind of everybody's on the same page of what's going on here. Okay, so that's the update for that. And let's get into the numbers here. So we'll get back to this part here, which is my kind of metrics, calculations on them. Let's get into the assets part of it, and we'll get into liabilities, revenue, everything else. So assets right now for the fourth quarter, or the fiscal year 2022, however you want to look at it, came in at 11.9 million. That is a decrease from 28.1 million. That's given that they are building out. They're going to be spending quite a bit of cash to fund growth. Receivables is up a little bit here to 1.1 million from 731,000. Prepaid expenses is down a little bit to 7.2 from 8.2, so that's fine. Cryptocurrencies did increase nicely here to 6.2 million from 2.2, so that's good there. And this is kind of where I'm thinking that the assets are going to be possibly put into that from the three facilities that they have a 49% stake in them, or they could be added into derivative assets, which could be also in that. I'm not sure where those are going. So if you guys know where those are going, I'd love to hear it. Next is, so total current assets is 47 million. That's down about 22 million from 69 million that we had in Q3. Deposits on equipment is at 73 million from 200 million. So that's a big decrease there, but they have been getting a lot of miners now. So that's the reason for that. So that's fine. Property equipment has also grown nicely here to 181 million from 40 million. That's a given. They're getting more equipment. Security deposits increased a little bit to 17 from 11. And investment in equity invested was 37 from 31, so that's good there. Right of use is about the same. Deferred investment cost, that's a new one that popped up here. That's 45 million there. Not sure what that entails. And then derivative assets, I wonder if they're just naming it differently. They had it as derivative asset in Q3. Now they're calling it deferred investment cost. I wonder if these two are the same ones here. Nonetheless, total assets was 418 million compared to 407, so that's good there. Now, liabilities, as far as liabilities are concerned, accounts payable went up quite a bit here to 14.2 million from 4.6 million. That's a big jump there. Accounts payable is about the same, a little bit down 3 million from 3.2. Operating lease is about the same as well. Finance lease liability went up here. First time reported here was 2.5 million, and then accrued expenses was up to 19.3 from 10. So they definitely increased their expenses. Total current liabilities was 40.3 million compared to 9.6 million. So a big jump there from the prior quarter. Asset retirement obligation, also a new one here that came up on this financial result, along with finance lease liability. And we don't have anything to compare against those. Those were 16.6 and 12.2 respectively. Then we got operating lease liability. That one's about the same, a little bit, went down a little bit, about 300,000 roughly. Deferred tax liability is also a new one. And then warrant liability, we had 0 here for Q4 as we had 22 for Q3. So total liabilities went way up here to 75.5 million from 24 million. It's a big jump there, almost, well, practically 3 times that of what it was. And then common stock was 251. Add in additional paid in principal, up a little bit here to 453 from 442. And let's see here. Total stockholders' equity was 342.8. So that's down from the 383. But total liabilities and stockholder equity actually went up here to 418 from 407. So that's good there. Revenues, here's what we're actually getting final revenues, and this is from their, Odessa facility. This is for Q4 was 3 million roughly, well, 3,037,000 it looks like. We don't have anything else for that from the prior quarters because they were just getting assets from the other 3 facilities they were mining in. Expenses, looks like 748,000 that they paid in electricity, it looks like possibly. So that's actually pretty good there. General administrative was up a little bit here to 18.9, almost, what was it, 1,200,000, something up. So that's kind of up a little bit. Depreciation amortization was way up to 4.3 million from 11,000. Change in fair value derivative asset was also up compared to it being down. Power sales, we didn't have that before. That was down 458. Let's see, what else do we have here? Impairment of cryptocurrencies, equity loss was 16.5, so that was higher from the 8.3. And their cost of revenue was negative 49 million, based on the 3 million that they made, but they spent a heck of a lot more here. On that one, if we look at gross profit percentage, that's a negative 1,519. But if we take out depreciation, all that other stuff on top of here, and just use the cost of revenue, we're at 2,289. And then gross profit minus depreciation percentage-wise is 75.37%, which is actually pretty good looking at all the numbers if everything else was a lot better. Other income was marginal here, not much there. Net loss income was 49 million total loss. They lost, it looks like 39 million for the year. And let's see here, net income per share for the quarter was negative 21 cents. For the year, it was negative 16 cents. And basic and the diluted shares are saying 248 million. I have 247 million, so we're pretty close to that right now. Okay, so overall, things are improving, but they are spending more money on things, and their assets are improving as well, so that's good there. So when we look at some of the numbers up here, they reported as having mined 378 Bitcoin in Q4. Starting hash rate was about 960 petahash. They ended the quarter at about 1.8. Average hash rate was about 1.4. Hash rate increase was about 880 petahash, which was good. BTC mined per exahash came up to be 370 Bitcoins per exahash for the period, so that's pretty good. And then cost to mine 1 BTC with everything included was 130,000, but if you take out the depreciation and things like that, it came in at only 2,000, which seems a little low for me. I'm trying to figure out why that is, but it seems low. Everybody else is a little bit higher than that. I'm thinking I may be using also administrative costs in the other ones as well, but I'll have to look into it. So that's one of the things that I got to look into. Then we got enterprise value, 415, which is about the same here for the year. Debt to equity ratio, 0.22. That is an increase from the prior quarter of Q3, which was 0.06. That's a pretty sizable increase there, but still under 1, which is good. Current ratio is above 1 as well. It's 1.18, but it's also a big decrease from Q3, which was 3.55. So that's something we got to be mindful of there. We don't want them to get too low on the current ratio, which would mean that they don't have enough current assets to pay off current liabilities. And then booked value of equity assets is at 342 million. Price to book ratio is 1.23. That has come up here from Q3, so that's good. And then I didn't get to the revenue and general and administrative compensation, but that is going to be always available to my Patreon members as well. They have access to all my spreadsheets, and I'll get that updated for them, and that will be done later on tonight. Okay, so with all that being said and done, we do have, let me see here, for them right now as far as where they are, where they're going to be. We already know that the quarter ending December was 3,037,000. So that's what we're going to be using for that. As far as January and February, those are kind of estimates right now, like I said, because I just don't know how they're reporting still based on the 49% interest that they have in the 3 facilities. Odessa being one of the facilities that they are going to be full mining is what we're going to be reporting on. So we're looking currently in January, they're about 5.9 million in revenue. February looks like about 8.3. March is still unknown. They're obviously installing more miners. That should get them up maybe a little bit higher than that, but it also depends where Bitcoin ends up at. So right now it's an estimated 8.9 million. For them, that'd be a total of 23.157 million. And we're using that number here for the current quarter, and we're also using the last 3 quarter numbers, which were reported, which we really don't have anything for what is that going to be, the second quarter? Yeah. So we're only using the numbers that I do have for them, which right now gets us to about 28.2 million. And then if they're at 75% net income from gross revenue, we're looking at $1.71 right now. They are $1.68. They're pretty well valued right now with a PE of 20, in my opinion. And this is probably better than a lot of the miners right now. If we look at some of the other miners, we can take a look at, somebody that's in their size. So let's take a look at Bitfarms. Bitfarms right now is, let's see here, is at 86 cents. They are at 75% net income from gross revenue. They should be about $9.27 based on my numbers. So they're way under from where they should be. Another one that's kind of close to them as well is, Hut 8 is at 2.5. CleanSpark possibly. CleanSpark is a little bit bigger. They're at 6.6 exahash. But at 20 PE with 75% net income from gross revenue, they should be at 24.27. They're at $2.43. So as you can see here right now, they are really well valued based on what their current income is, but they do have huge income potential going forward. But they are getting a definite premium right now as being one of the new kids on the block, and investors are kind of jumping into them. Plus, with their supposed low cost of electricity, I think it's helping out tremendously here. Okay, so that is it. We'll see how things keep going forward. They are getting pretty close to being fully installed here with about 41 or so percent left of growth in them. And then we'll see where they go after that. We do know that Bitcoin is kind of volatile right now. So we'll see where things go. It's just going to be a hit and miss right now with them. And I'm hoping that eventually, as we get more, well, at least in one more quarter in, I'll be able to fine tune my numbers here on all of this, and we'll hopefully get a lot closer data going forward. Okay. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. There's a lot of data as always. Unfortunately, that's just the way it goes with these miners. I cover a lot of stuff with them and things to make it as all-inclusive as possible as I can and have a good comparison to the other miners as well. Okay, so that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, have a great Tuesday night. We'll see what happens tomorrow. As always, the spreadsheet's available to my Patreon members there, so thank you to everyone there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.